So this guy right here, his name is Matt Nuclear, and I've talked to him before, just one time, like a real conversation. I did destroy him. It wasn't really much of a destroy. Like I hate doing that, but like because it wasn't very drawn out or long. But he what he really is good at is the Israel and Palestine stuff, and he makes good points there. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm pro-Palestine, but no one makes me question it like this guy does, and that's why I'm making this video. His points here are not. He's totally out of his element. Like, and I know the way I'm phrasing this and framing this is making it sound like I'm like I don't really care about the issue, and I'm me versus him, and that low key is kind of what I'm doing a little bit, but at the same time, like I don't know, I want to do it because like this video just came out. I talked to this dude before, like I don't know, this is a really cool moment for me, and we're gonna try to do this respectfully. But that dude, if I do come across a little too much, he does the same thing. Okay, I just want to start at that. But let me just go ahead and phrase. I'll put it in the description where you can skip to, if you don't want to hear this part. Then I'm about to tell you exactly what our exchange was. But for those who are interested, because it is, Anyway, so he was making the point that Donald Trump cares more for women than the Democratic Party, or it was something like that. It was about women. I just don't know if it was like Donald Trump versus Democratic Party or Trump versus Harris or Republican versus I don't know. But the point was the conservative, like red people, will just say that just so I can be as accurate as possible. Okay, so first off, and his point was he brought up abortion. That was the main thing, and he also brought up like the Lake and Riley Act. And so, first off, on abortion, like that is so strange, and I didn't say this part, but it's so strange. I know I get his line of thinking. He was thinking like, well, in actuality, I guess like over the long term or something, abortion is worse. It weighs on their conscience, and so me being against abortion is being for women. Well, let me actually tell you what the truth is. What that actually is it's fine. You can say you're also for women, but you don't go to like, okay, here's policies for women, and then go to the thing that women do not want, that women are advocating against on a whole. Now, there are very passionate women who are pro-life, and I understand that, but that's not a pro-women position. It's a pro-life position. But you can be pro-women at the same time. But that's not what I said, though. What the real thing was, and that should have been immediately obvious, and people are going to debate that, but that's the reason I didn't bring it up, because it doesn't fully address it as what I'm about to say is. Because you can still debate that and be like, well, that is being pro-women. It's not, but okay. That's that you don't go to abortion. You would anyway. I'm going to drop that now. What I really brought up was how Trump, like whenever he cites the Lake and Riley Act or abortion, I'm like, what I asked him to do is, and this is where he couldn't say anything. I asked him, I said, name me something, and this was immediately. I've never had this debate with anybody. This is just something you should just know. I asked him, I said, name one thing Trump has done that for women that isn't tied up with some other minority group or some other. Oh, yeah, and I said the word minority, and he got it caught up. He was like, immigrants are not a minority group or something, even though like they actually are. Like the illegal immigrants that the Lake and Riley Act is about, they are a minority. But even if they weren't, he didn't understand what I was saying, or he did and just was tucking his tail. You can't find anything that Trump does but just for women. There's like nothing else. I care about the opposite gender, and I'm going to try and make, however, like if it was, helping their pay, which they don't even agree that there is a pay gap, that there is a wage gap, but like it would be something like that, actually helping women, like something that is just for them and is not like, by proxy attack some other, where he kills two birds with one stone, where he can advance one agenda while still satisfying, some other like liberals or something, and being able to play optics and like, well, this is actually for women. Come on, dude, like we can't be that retarded. Okay, so 4:30. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna pause this video, and then I'm gonna skip to whenever he starts talking. So this is a common theme with these guys. They don't really understand what systemic racism even is. They like see it as a black on white war, as like if black people, if we're disadvantaged, then that means like the white people must be like attacking us. That's what you guys think, the white people. And you'll also see, I won't get into this too far yet, but it seems like with this guy, there's like he like I don't know if he was like bullied as a kid by other black people. I don't know what it is, but a lot of his points just have to do with like demonizing black people and like, well, black people are actually, it's not that there is no systematic racism, it's that black people are the issue. That's how he sees this. Well, first, like, dude, this can be true, and it's true, and it is true. This is evidence of systemic racism. Like, he's like black people are being killed, and when they get killed, it's by other black people. Exactly. What do you not understand? Like, we're saying that there are the way our system is set up, and it's not just system. It's like, anyway, the way these conditions are laid out for these people, black people, it's not just the fact that you're getting killed by others. Like, actually, it probably has more to do with the people that are becoming like violent and having these propensities to just hatred. Like, that is actually what we're talking about more, is that, rather than somebody simply being killed, which that does have to do with it. But like, if it was white people being killed by black people, that would still actually be evidence of systemic racism. But he doesn't understand that, because it's just a black on white war to him. And he's like, well, if I can only see what's right in front of me, and I can only, there's bad things happening to white people, so that must be evidence of the other way. Or if somebody brings up, if there's any evidence of systemic racism, then it's bad things happening right in front of me to black people. Like, no, it is also the fact that they are committing the crimes. And he's going to go, well, they shouldn't do it. They shouldn't do it. I agree, they shouldn't do it. Of course, no one is justifying what they're doing or saying like that they just couldn't have done any other thing. Obviously, there needs to be some personal responsibility here, but we are talking about government and politics. We are talking about how to make these situations occur less often. And so the way we do that is by lessening how bad the situations are, especially whenever these situations, these conditions that they're in, have roots in slavery and have roots in stuff. I mean, do you not agree? If that were the case, we would need to address that. Why does it just need to be individuals doing it themselves? Like, what is government for? Like, come on. So this is a great reason why I'll probably never do debates unless I just do nothing else other than study for the rest of my life, and then when I'm old, I'll do it. He gets to come up here and like say these facts that he clearly memorized. He was like the first one to talk, I'm pretty sure. And he's like, he memorized this narrative, and he does the same thing for TikTok all the time. He just loves like spitting facts. Conservatives love it. They're like, because fact means like true, so like, it can mean true. I mean, anyways. And so if I'm spitting facts, then I must be right. But okay, so let's take this. She responded to it really well. So he brings up the Chinese Exclusion Act, and he could have just easily said it like, well, Chinese people were discriminated against too, like this Chinese Exclusion Act. But instead, he like tries to flex his knowledge, and this is why they're insufferable. I cannot do debates. This is what I like to do. I'm gonna come and just explain how you're wrong, because this is a stupid point. And like I said, she does a good job too. But let me go ahead and play what he's saying.
And basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States, yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible?
All right. I'll let me skip to where she says.
How come they don't?
Let me skip to what she says.
One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States, and comparing the continued effort of black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
I don't believe that happens at all. What? No one here is.
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe?
So first off, he didn't even understand what she was saying. So she was saying that, with the Chinese Exclusion Act, the Chinese immigrants, it's only affecting immigrants, and it's affecting people that like choose to come here. And so like during a certain period of time, I think it's like 6 months, you weren't allowed to come here. Okay, that's affecting. And then when that's over with, the people who, that was affecting, now they can plan on coming here, and they have options and things like that. And that's all it was just excluding. That was what that act was. Whereas black people, they were brought over here, forced over here, for 250 years, and then subject to additional laws like the Jim Crow laws, black codes. We're about to go over that in my history class right now. History 102 starts with the Reconstruction era, so I'm about to really understand a lot of this stuff. I've already started a little bit, and of course I did years ago. But anyway, back to this, it's completely different. It's like it's affecting an entire group of people that are like already here, and it's like that the slaves were forced to be here, and then after that, the continued generations, they were born here. So I mean, they're forced to be in an oppressive system. So it's fundamentally different. And then he took that, he heard the buzzwords at the end that she was talking about. Let's see, continues to make impediments for them, and then he takes that and starts going back to the whole entire topic, which is systemic racism. And it's like, well, actually, I don't. His argument is now, after he misunderstands her point, he goes to, well, actually, systemic racism. No, I don't feel it. I don't feel it exists. Really, dude? Like, even if you thought that she was just simply, which would have been dumb for her to do, just asserting, basically begging the question, saying, well, if that was her point, was begging the question right there, these systemic, they're continue. What'd she say? Impediments. She said something about impediments. Anyway, then you wouldn't respond to it with just going, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. You would then go in and have another argument and explain. So you're just on two fronts. Like, he hasn't said anything. Anyway.
No, there's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example.
Now, I'm with him here a little bit, okay, in a certain way. Let me just let him finish, because this is a it's alarming
has
statistic.
Been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories, because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor?
See, what a stupid point, man. Like, he this is what I was talking about earlier in the video. He has this thing, I don't know, for some reason, against his own race, where it's like, I mean, why? It's because King Von is not an elected official. King Von is not, he has no influence on any laws whatsoever. The only influence he has is on, like, culture, and it's been inflated because he is an entertaining figure, okay? He's not actually doing anything. Like, what are you talking about? What a stupid, idiotic thing to say. I mean, he just has this vendetta against black people. That's all this is. He starts pointing toward, and he's going to do it later on in the video, again, and I'll bring it up when it happens. Like, he has no clue what systemic racism even is. He genuinely doesn't, and he thinks he does, and he probably, like, kind of does, but he can't argue. Let me just...
To think about me as your mama. Do not talk.
Another thing about the King Von thing is, like I said earlier, that him doing that is the product of, and she kind of actually says this later on in the video, but yeah, it's just what he thinks this means does not mean, like, this is so dumb to even think. It's just, well, again, what's right in front of him, people dying. There's people dying, people getting, again, black on black. I've already gone over this. This one had me scratching my head. I guess what he means here is that he's saying it doesn't exist anymore, but I don't know why he didn't just say that. He's literally saying that redlining existed. He said, no, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I really don't even know how to respond to this part. You go watch the video yourself. I'm not going to play that, but he literally, I don't know. This is crazy. I mean, I guess we could, if I was being honest with him, I would just go in and only respond to this part of the video. I feel like this would already, if he's denying the fact that redlining exists, that makes me think that it really, if it did exist, it would really destroy any argument that he has, or that he thinks he has. So I already feel like it's over with just from him denying this, but maybe he meant something different and is just being a dishonest person right now, trying to, I don't know. But that is a weird thing to say. Extremely weird. So she's making the connection that, property taxes, which had to do with, redlining as property, whenever it devalues their property. So whenever you devalue property, it also devalues schools and, like, the education system. This is basically the whole systemic racism thing right here. Not really, but, like, a large part of it. Like, this is, and so whenever you have less funding for schools, that you cannot overstate how important, especially like elementary schools are, and middle schools, and I guess high schools too. But I don't know. Maybe those more than the elementary. Either way, just public school in general has to do with your future and the amount of opportunity you get, and not only that, but just your conditioning. Like a person that goes to a underfunded school with horrible like air conditioning, or like the bathrooms just suck. Like even just that little stuff, and the people there are a little more miserable. That has so much to do with how you end up in life. It is absolutely crazy. And so whenever you have systems that devalue property, and that, because actually wealth, like I think like 60% of people's wealth in America comes from like home ownership in this country. And so that's already, like, just that alone, inherited property from your, ancestors. Just that alone, black people are already at a massive disadvantage because of redlining and stuff. And so their schools are worse, and that contributes to them being more of a King Von type. Not necessarily that bad. He goes to the worst of the worst. But you understand what we're saying here, just a deviant, I guess. We'll call them deviants. That contributes to it. That you see. And so, and not only that, and she doesn't kind of go in here. Well, I'll say this in just a second. I won't make this point yet.
About systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that these private prisons are literally built based on the test scores of school students in 3rd grade. So if you are literally building prisons with the onset of, okay, if these people are not reaching a certain reading level, then we know that they're going to go down a prison industrial pipeline, or we can use their free labor. Then how is that not systemic? And if
you see, and she didn't say the quiet part out loud. But what the implication here is, so these private prisons, they can know that people, they will have more free labor if people come into their prison. So they literally have the incentive to lobby against like education reform and housing reform, and they have that incentive, because the worse conditions are for black people, the more of them will commit crimes or whatever, and then the more labor they will get. So they have that incentive, and that is a systemic issue. Even if you said that it doesn't happen a lot, that incentive being there, it means it will happen and is going to happen and is wrong. Like, we must change that, period. Even if you say, well, on an individual level, the black people should pick themselves up with the bootstraps, and they shouldn't commit the crime or whatever. That's well and true and all, but you have to look at this from the position of like looking at what the human condition is like. Me personally, I don't even, and you don't have to believe in this or not believe in this. This doesn't have anything to do, but just to kind of give you an insight, I don't even believe in free will. Oh shoot, I don't believe in free will. Did you hear? I don't. Now, I kind of do a little, but like, basically what people who don't believe in free will is, if you get into like philosophy, I mean, everything you do is, you are the product of your environment. You've at least heard that before. Even if free will was true, you'd still be the product of your environment. Okay? And so yes, people within certain environments and can do good and do better, but still, like, as a general rule and as a line, and when you apply it, and whenever you start, because whenever you operate in government, Matt, this is what you're supposed to do, is think about how it's going to affect people on a wide scale. Even if not everyone is Superman, okay? Not everyone has it all figured out. There are idiots. And so as a government, we should, now that doesn't mean at someone else's expense, but as long as it doesn't come at someone else's expense, we should be trying to accommodate for them, because that will also make the entire society better. It's not just for them. Even if you have no altruism whatsoever and you don't care about helping the little guy, fine. But helping the little guy does help the society as a whole. Addressing these issues will make my life as a white man better. It will. Understand? Because like I said earlier in the video, this goes actually back. Like I said earlier, it's not just black on black crime or black on white or whatever, or black on, or like, what I mean is, it's not just things happening to black people. That's what I meant. It's also it happening to me or happening to a white. That is part of it. That is part of the systemic racism. Is if King Von had come and shot up, I wouldn't say that it's only because of the government. Obviously not. King Von he does need to take responsibility. That is not what we're saying at all. Okay? But we can do things as a society to lessen those instances. And it's not entirely his fault. And You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it. There, if slavery and all these things didn't exist, he wouldn't have been that way. That doesn't remove his responsibility, but that does paint a picture, a very real one. Do you see what we mean now? Hopefully you do. I'm sure he doesn't, but hopefully somebody who's watching this does. Love this part right here. Just listen to this.
Not systemic. And if you want to
Stop them from entering prisons.
how are you going to stop people from entering prison if your goal is to get them into prison?
Sure, make them try to be more like Ben Carson than be like King Von. That's very, very simple.
That's what we're doing. That's what. Oh, look, she said, "How does How does King Von happen?" That's basically what we're saying. Yes, we're trying to not make them be like he. This is what I'm saying. He does not understand. He can't understand because he's so blinded by hatred for his own race. He'll never see. Like, and again, I'll go and it was about the King Von thing. I'll also go and I'll explain. You'll see what I mean. Maybe if you're not completely sold that he had some like weird thing in his childhood. I am. I'm dang near completely sold that he was like excluded in school or something like that, by some, anyway, I know people like this, and they start like, they love trucks all of a sudden. I mean, you have different flavors of the directions they go, but they'll start being a country boy or whatever, Then you have the black conservative filled with hatred. You have that route. And that's just my theory. I shouldn't speculate, but this dude's kind of an aggressive and like, he treats people like crap on his TikTok live, so I'm going to speculate. I don't feel that bad, actually. I didn't realize yet, I hadn't made my 2 points where I agreed with him on things. Earlier, it was about the college. Yeah, he said something about the acceptance rate had dropped by like 60% for black people once they stopped considering race. I think it was, something like that. Which is, if it's that big of a deal, yeah, like they're probably going too far. And that's definitely not the way to go. If you've noticed the arguments that I brought up about redlining and education, it has more to do with the public school and not just like, I mean, once they're to the college level, they're already past the conditioning that we're talking about. Not all the way past, but mostly, I'd say like, I don't know, 60-70% probably. It's more about when they're way younger, and it starts, and it's about the entire. You see what I'm saying? This is just kind of putting a Band-Aid on an issue. Look, this is what I'm talking about. This dude is so smug. Anyway, and then the other one was, at the very beginning, reparations. He was talking about just sending like blank checks. Same thing. It's just a Band-Aid. I agree. Blank checks and sending like cash deposits to people is not going to lower crime. It's not. It might, in some cases, maybe increase it. You know what I'm saying? In some cases, I don't know. But I just wanted to say that he But it just adds me addressing those points. Like if I was sitting there with him, I would have agreed on the spot. Like you're just talking about nothing here. Like you have a complete misunderstanding of our position of like an actual. I don't think they picked somebody who was well equipped enough. Because like earlier in the video, she started getting hung up on like stats and like stats are lying, and actually he did bring up true stats. So anyway. By the way, I was watching him on TikTok Live. He was making fun of her right after this video was posted for saying this right here. Behoove you. Which, bruh, she's just trying to like sound smart, and I'm not hating, but like this was not probably the best person to pick. I really, like, people are going to watch this and they're going to think this position, this whole argument is so dumb just because they've just picked the wrong person. And that's not saying with experience and with a little bit more training she could get better. Like me, I wouldn't be. I'm definitely not the right person to pick. Hopefully that y'all didn't think I was implying that. I'm not. I'm just saying she isn't either. But this dude isn't. Like, no one here, like, this is the whole thing with Jubilee. Like, I'm kind of wasting my time. No one knows what they're talking about here. We're all just kind of figuring things out and trying to look good. That's it. That is what this whole channel is. He was also talking about, when she was talking about blood, sweat, and tears, he started making the point that, like, well, black people didn't actually build the country. That is kind of also another point of they love harping on that no, we didn't, white people actually did, the glorious white people, they built the country, not us. which is like he started talking about. Oh, he started doing the facts again instead of just saying like how I would have done it. The North didn't even have many slaves. It was industrialized. He started almost like it was a script, reading it off and like going technically, which is true. Yeah, they're wanting like, I think he said something about 2% of white people owning slaves or something like that. Yes, dude. When people say that black people built the country, they don't mean that like if black people weren't here, then America would cease to have existed. But it wouldn't be the same, okay? It would not be the same. And yes, cotton. He said that cotton was like cotton picking is a low skill thing, but like, do you realize like how important that whole industry was? Even if cotton didn't, building cotton didn't go into like the large factories and like building Model Ts or whatever later on down the line, it's still, you got to understand how important like each sector is, and the cotton industry was a very important one. Even if it was low skill, low wage, like black people suck. Oh, I hate blacks. Okay, dude, but it was still extremely important. You see? Okay, so I'm almost getting to 30 minutes here, and I think this is a good point to end because he ended his segment, and then now we're about to start another segment with him. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video, but I'm going to start another one right after. So thanks for watching, guys, whoever stayed, and watch the next one if you have time.